and the paranormal and the like people who sometimes believe in supernatural, but sometimes they don't want to lean towards that because they have the fear of the judgment and the fear and the judgment of people, and because I've been through a court system, I've been incarcerated, and I've seen how that happens, and with people of they go in there and they lose their mind, and it just over time they get the process of this is what real life is. And I'm like, kind of a native guy here.
Step in.
I think I know
Lean
a little bit
in.
more.
Mic on and begin. Hey! Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue, turned down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall, but your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard, say every single word, from the low notes to the sky, throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred.
Got a light, buddy?
Yeah, sure, kid. There you go.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. You got a truth tucked deep in your chest, heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard, say every single word, from the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. Speak up, name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout, watch the silence melt. Power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Let your voice be heard, say every single word, from the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the
Welcome. I love that song. Welcome to Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio once again, man. It is such a blessing and a pleasure to be here tonight. I've been kind of anxious to get on here tonight when I heard that you were coming back, James. I didn't know you were coming back, man, but it is an honor and always a blessing to have you here with us, man, on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. Again, everyone knows, hopefully you all know by now, my name is Cloyd Holmes. I am the host of Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. We have the blessing and honor, again, of having Mr. James Eade with us again. James, I don't know what it is, man, but every time I get off the line, off this show with you, I am at such peace. No, I told everybody in my house, nobody's going to disturb my peace tonight. I'm at peace. It is it's such a quieting spirit when you're on here, and I'm thankful that you're back with us. I'm gonna because there's so much to your story. There's so much to your journey that I don't know if some of the people here missed some of your story, man. There's so much there that I don't want to just jump right into. I do want to just jump right into the spiritual aspects of it because that's the quieting part that I love. However, I want to recap a little bit of where you came from. You came from this chess community that was and as I listened to your story, it had that chess community and the journey you went through with the chess thing has a lot to do with who you are today and how you think about things today. Um, you said some things along the way because this has got to be, I don't even know, 8, 9, 10, 10th segment that we did with you. I don't even know where we're at, but you, you said some things way back when that still stick with me, and and I learned a lot from interviewing you. Um, one part was the freedom of choice thing that stuck with me. That you said you lost your ability to choose. Your and that kind of threw me a little bit because I was like, well, how'd you do that? How does that happen? How do you do that? Because that is something that we were all gifted with as human beings. Choice. We all have a choice. We have that right. And I when you said it, I was like, wait a minute, how did you lose that? Because as I said before, I said God created everything He created. That's created does what it was created to do. The fish, the insects, the animals, the trees, the seas. It does what they were created to do. Well, we, however, were the only thing that He created and gave free will and gave us choice. I have the right to make my own choices, and so do you. But you said that you lost that right or that ability to make a choice. And I was like, wow, how do you do that? And I'm going back a little bit, and I know you're going to bring us back up. You got to bring us back to the spiritual thing. You know, I need my quietness at the end of this thing. So yeah. So let me ask you, how did you do that, James, with the choice? Let's start there.
Thank you for that introduction, Clyde. The power of choice is freely given to us. And we can make use of it, or we can, as I did, squander it, throw it away. And the way I did that was by becoming addicted to foreign substances to mask my inner pain. The inner pain that was from my childhood.
Recording in progress.
Carried on to my adulthood. And it was as a child I developed defense mechanisms and survival instincts to get through what I was going through the best way I could. I was just a child. I didn't have the best solutions. I didn't know what to do, but it was anxiety. My environment was unstable from what I liked, what I wanted it to be. And so I liked to be alone. I liked to be in my room by myself and to read and to do other things. And these are the types of things that I would do to make myself feel safe and secure. And so, when you go into school, you have to interact with other people. You're not allowed to just be by yourself. But sometimes, I could escape into the school's library or something like that. And every chance I got, I would try to be by myself. And then when I got into middle school, 7th grade, I discovered alcohol. It was someone asked me if I wanted to split a bottle of Strawberry Hill Boone's Farm, this sweet wine that, and I said yes. I didn't know any different, but I said yes, and I ended up throwing up and wanting to do it again. Because the effect it had on me was all of a sudden I wanted to be with people. They were funnier, they were prettier, they were smarter, and I enjoyed their company. And so I felt like I fit in, probably for the first time in my life. And so this process continued, and I have come to call it self-medication. If I was anxious, the quickest solution for me was alcohol or some type of, I was introduced to marijuana the next year. And my friend asked me if I wanted to split a nickel bag, and I said yes. I didn't know what a nickel bag was, but I said yes. So I was open to experimentation at that age to find an escape, to find some way to ease the pain and suffering that I experienced. Now, I was still successful. I was still, from the outside looking in, everything was going great. I was captain of a couple sports teams. I was captain of the chess team, and I continued to do well. And I think, especially running track and cross country, kept me from excess in terms of my drinking. When I went to college, it kind of took over because I really didn't have anything that I didn't have to go up and run the next morning. I suffered some consequences, and I hitchhiked to Nashville after my freshman year in college to get away from my drug sources, from my peer group who was everybody was drinking and drugging like I was. So I just needed a change of pace, and so when I came back, I gave myself permission to use 2 beers and 1 joint a night. And what that did was give me the illusion that I could control it. And that illusion took many, many years, decades, before I let go of it. And when it became such a problem, the drinking came. And again, I was successful in life, and I wore a suit and tie to work. I drove a nice car. We lived in a nice neighborhood in San Francisco, and it was very nice. And from the outside looking in, and in the chess field, I became a chess master for my ability to over the board competitions. I was successful at that. I got into governance. I was president of the Colty Chess for Youth Foundation. I was president of Cal Chess, the Northern California Chess Association. I won a national election for the Chess Journalists of America and became their president. And I won another national election to become one of the governors of the board of the National Governing Organization for Chess, U.S. Chess, in the United States. And my success on that stage continued. But in 2016, I suffered liver failure. And I was in the hospital having my life saved. And I was a miserable human being at that point in time. I had nothing but bad things to say about the nurses who were actually saving my life, because they were taking my blood and putting in IVs and taking my blood and putting in IVs. And I kept thinking, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Go away. And, of course, if they did that, I would have died. I was on what they called death watch. Nurses used it. I don't know if it was gallows humor or what it was, but they called it death watch because they had to record my exact time of death. So that's what they were expecting me to die. But when I lost consciousness, one of the times I lost consciousness, I had a spiritual awakening, what I've come to know as a spiritual awakening. And I was given the choice of to die or to live. And I write about this in my book, Freedom. It was published in 2023, and I go into detail about that if you're curious. But I think that while I was experiencing that, I chose life. And much to my surprise, because really what I wanted to do was have it all stop. And that was what I thought. And consciously, when I was faced with it, I chose life.
Let me ask you something. I don't mean to cut you off in the middle of this, but something you said that I wanted to ask a question. Then you said that you hitchhiked.
Yeah.
Would you hitchhike to Tennessee?
Nashville. Yeah,
you hitchhiked to Nashville to get away from the things you were doing to people that had you caught up, the dealers or whoever. Where was that the start? The start that you had a problem, that in your inner being, because you kept doing what you was doing when you left, but what made you want to get away from this all of a sudden? And was there inner, like the start of, man, I got to get away from this? Because up to this point, you didn't. Up to this point, you Boom Farm and all of this stuff. And,
the more the merrier.
Bags of wheat,
If some was good, more would be better.
Something there, something happened to make you say, you know what, I got to, even if you didn't realize it, I got to get away from this. And so you, to the point where you said you hitchhiked to Nashville.
Yeah.
And you said to get away from these people and these things, people, places, and things.
Right.
And but when you got away from that, did you get away from you? You went right back into what you wanted to do, what you were doing. But do you feel that that was the start of your inner being saying, "This is just wrong. I have a problem."
I didn't have a difficulty admitting that I was an alcoholic. I laughed it off. If someone asked me if I was 18 and they asked me if I drank, I would say only to excess. I made a joke out of it. And, because I thought that I did have a problem, but that I could deal with it.
Mm,
I could cope. I could, because I was still, the outside world was still giving me all these reassurances that I was functional, that I was doing well. And so I thought, as long as I'm doing that, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not getting in bar fights. I'm not getting DUIs. there aren't any consequences yet. So
mhm,
everything is still going smoothly as far as the outside world looking in. And and so I did not think that I had a problem in the way that you're talking about it, the way that I think about it now. I had this drinking um, problem that I dealt with. And I didn't really think of it as a problem. I thought of it as partying, having fun.
mhm.
So my conception of that was still very naive at that time.
So
But I
why'd you
knew
want to
I had
get
to
away?
I did because my grades started to suffer, and the guys a couple of them that I was hanging out with, a couple of them flunked out, and so I knew that it had become a part of where I wasn't functioning as well. So I knew I needed to get away, and I also knew that if I hung around with them, I would keep using, I would keep drinking, I would, that and this is the time I've come to believe now, very differently than I thought back then. But at the time, that was part of my blaming others for the problem that I had. And again, not really owning it as my problem, thinking that if I get away from the people I'm around, everything will be okay. And I went to Memphis and I got a job, and that was basically proven to my satisfaction that when I got away from them, everything was okay, and it was just my environment. And when I got back, I had a roommate, but we were off campus, and I can control everything. 2 beers and a joint max. And that was like, okay. So again, I thought, see, I was blaming others. So I wrote this book in 2025, No Blame, No Shame, because
Mhm,
there's no point in blaming other people for a problem you have. And it's part based on my experience. I have confidence stating that because of my experience, that the blame game is going to avail you nothing. And also, I'll get into this later, but to have no shame that you've experienced this, because that's what I run into over and over, people with their heads low, and they won't look you in the eye, and they'll speak low, and they won't speak up. They won't raise their voice, and they won't speak up to be heard. And you don't
mhm.
see them going like this, raise your hand, So, this is one of the things that's my current mission is to remove the stigma and the shame involved in anyone who is, because what family has not been affected, either in the individuals themselves through addiction, or a loved one, or someone that you love is suffering this way, and you want to know how to cope, what to do, how to help, and such a tricky business. So I just want to share my experience, strength, and hope with as many people as I can. But for me, it took a long, long time. It took me. This is how stubborn I was, and that a long time to, and it took me going into the ER and having being on death's door before I realized that I really couldn't do it. I could not control it myself. And even then, it took me 3 months to take my doctor's advice and to seek help, because I still was so stubborn that I thought I could do it myself. And I had this experience where it was a hot summer day and I was outside in my backyard thinking one beer would be so great right now. And I thought, one beer won't kill me. And that's when I heard my doctor's voice. You know, it, if you drink, you'll die. And I don't mean eventually.
Wow.
And that sunk in. And so I heard it again. And I said, oh, yeah, because, one beer would lead to two. If one is good, two would be better, and then all bets are off. I would be drinking again. And then I would not have survived. I didn't have enough chance. I did not have enough um, resources physically to survive more research into whether or not I could do it myself. I couldn't do it myself. I needed help. It was the hardest thing for me to accept. And
Mm,
that was the start of a real psychological transfer, a change that was a fundamental change in my perspective on life. One, I had to admit that I really did want to live, and that was not an easy question for me. While I was when I had bent the knee to the tyranny of addiction, the tyrant of addiction is a merciless master. So your life is not fun. Your life is not something that you can see any point in living. And that's the point that I had gotten. I had gotten so low. They talk about a spiritual bankruptcy. I had crashed through the bankruptcy and I was looking up at it, wondering if I could get back to that stage. Not spiritual at all, not thinking of any higher power, not, just me, me, me. Can I do it? I can do it. I've always done what I set my mind to do. I can do this too, and it was a delusion that I had to rip from my eyes and I could see more clearly. But I noticed there were other delusions. And every time I ripped one, I saw more clearly, but I still didn't see it all. I didn't see clearly enough because there's still veils of delusion that cover my eyes today. And I know that one day I will have another experience where I go, oh, wow, I see more clearly again.
mm,
And so I keep learning. And, you're part student, you're part teacher, but what I'm not is the administrator. I don't run the show. And so what I can do, only what I can do is share my strength, my experience, and my hope. Because what we have when we're at the depths of our addiction, when we're really at the bottom, we have no hope. When we have no hope and we feel powerless to change. So my job now is to empower the powerless and give hope to the hopeless. And I tell them, when you find your path, as I did, walk it, and walk it with your head held high, looking people in the eye. Because when you're walking your path, it doesn't matter if someone over there is saying, this is a better path, come here. Walk your path. You're wasting your time in theirs if you walk someone else's. Walk yours. And finding it, that's difficult. And I can't tell you how to do it. I can't tell you what your path is. You have to discover it. But the hope is you can and you will, because all human beings have the power and potential to recover from whatever it is, whether it's overeating, whether it's narcotics, whether it's alcohol, whatever it is, you can recover from it. And this recovery for me was on a spiritual level. And this spiritual level has allowed me to think of being of help to others. And one of the things I had to learn was everyone needs help, but not everyone needs my help. Not to overextend myself, but also not to butt in where I am not needed. So all of these things are learning lessons, and don't be too hard on yourself when you're learning. These things that we call problems or we call obstacles, really what I've come to believe is that they're lessons. And I just haven't learned the lesson yet. That's why I think of it as a problem. But when I learned the lesson, I realized that what I went through in 2016, that has allowed me to be on your show today and to speak with authenticity about my experiences because I was there. I was hopeless. I felt powerless, but I don't feel that way today.
well, wow. Listen, James, I want to ask a question, but I'm gonna let somebody else
Of
ask
course.
one. I see in the chat that Yolanda, I think it's Yolanda said that she bought Freedom, your book Freedom, but No Blame, No Shame is sold out.
Oh, that's from Sarah. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't, how could that be sold out? Oh,
How could it be
well,
sold
thank you
out?
for buying freedom. And
Yeah.
I will follow up on that. That's not. No wonder my royalties were so small for that.
We can't have that one. We got to check into that real quick. Listen,
Yeah, that's not
um,
acceptable.
I need I see Lazaro. He had his hand up for a
Yeah.
while.
Hey, Lazaro, sorry to make you wait.
Lazaro,
No,
okay,
no
there you
worries. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
We
go.
can. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to say, James, thank you so much for coming on. I put this hat on like in honor of you because I'm like super inspired. I'm like, yo, this guy is truly has that hat on and it looks great.
Thanks.
So I'm like, I gotta kind of match my man James right now. And so
Imitation's the sincerest form of flattery, right?
exactly, right? So I noticed that you said earlier you my because my you actually kind of answered my question, but I'm going to elaborate on it. My original question was like, at what point did you really what was the turning point, right? Like what was the turning point in your history of like addiction that really kind of had you, okay, like I can't do this anymore? You did mention it was a health scare, and that your doctor basically told you, okay, if you take one more sip of a beer, you're going to die, and that's it. And I could totally understand that and agree with that. However, like I know that there's people out there that they just like they don't have support, they don't have support systems, they're unable to like kind of look for that, they don't have any like friends or anybody to like sponsor them or whatever, and then they also feel unable to do things like AA where, think about it. So it's a person and you're going to a meeting with random people and sharing your vulnerabilities. Not everybody's going to want to do that. And so I wanted to ask you, like, how can you help people that are in that situation that they don't have a support system and that they don't feel strong enough to, go to those AA meetings? And my other question for you, like, what, like, I know that you said there was a physical breaking point for you, but was there ever an emotional breaking point for you in which, like, let's say, I don't know, like a wife or a son or a friend was like, listen, I'm not going to be able to hang out with you anymore if you keep drinking like this and things like that. And yeah, so those would be my questions for you. Thank you,
Well,
James.
thanks, Liz. Those are excellent questions, and the whole framework that you set there. That's the heartbreaking part of this for me still, because you have to wait until someone's willing to be helped before you help them. You can't really do something for someone. And my wife one time told me that I don't know how you live this way, but I can't live this way, and that was not enough for me. And when you have bent the knee to the tyranny of a tyrant such as addiction, you have lost the capacity to connect to other human beings, and so it might make you feel sadder rather, and it might make you feel like you should do this, but you don't have the willpower. I don't think I should phrase it that way, but you don't have the ability to stop what you're doing. And I found that I needed a community. I needed support. I needed people to help me. That was the hardest thing for me to admit. And when I was finally able to accept that I needed help, I thought I was going to get the Heisman Trophy because I still kept straight arming people, keep them away. And, so it was a very gradual period of time for me before I was able to not only look for help, ask for help, but to accept it. So this is everyone's individual story differs. Some people did it right away, and some people went in and out because they were like not liking it and left. And I'll tell you, my first experiences in a 12-step program, I hated every minute of it. I sat by in the chair closest to the door so I could get out as soon as the meeting was over. But I knew I couldn't do it myself. I had admitted that much to myself. And I knew I needed help. I just couldn't believe that these people were going to help me. So I totally identified with someone who's in that situation. And the only thing you can try is to be there when they're clean and sober, even if it's early in the morning. Because don't wait until they're messed up, because then there's no sense in talking to them then. It's my experience anyways. But before they've started to use, you can talk to them then. It's the only chance I think that you'll have to get through to them, to suggest things that have worked for others. And what I say is, I know what worked for me, but I don't know what's going to work for you. But keep trying things until you find what works for you and do that. And I should have no judgment over what that is. And I won't tell you one's good, one's bad, or this one's a little better for you, or this one's a little worse for you. I have no idea what is going to work for you. But just keep throwing them out. And I throw not only AA you mentioned, but there's Refuge Recovery and Recovery Dharma, which are Buddhist-based. There's Yoga and the 12 Steps. There are many programs now. And so I found the Buddhist-based ones a lot more resonating with me a lot more than the traditional 12 Steps. But that's me. So I don't want to promote one over the other. There's no point to it as far as I can see. Just encourage them and to know that you have their best interest at heart, to try to communicate that, and to give them the feeling that other people have been where they are, because you feel alone when you're there. And other people have been where they are and made it. Look at this guy, James Eade. He made it. Look at this guy. We both know this other person. They made it. You can too. Give them hope. Spark of hope. Sometimes that's all they need. Thanks for the question, Lazar.
Yes. Thank you for that, James. I see Danielle, you had your hand up first. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I see a couple of hands up, but go ahead, Danielle. And welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here again.
Thank you. I was glad to make it last second. James, I have a question for this. Because in the past, you'd spoken about taking it 1 minute, 1 hour at a time. What would you give as kind of like a line of hope for people that are not quite ready or need to be in that recovery spot where their system is so entrenched in the addiction of the alcohol and the poison in their blood, I would say, because they've consumed so much of it. It's to the point where medically, if they start detoxing too fast, they actually can go into shock and actually die.
Yes.
What would you say to those people? Because we have a lot more of those individuals where they're in the midst of the addiction, but coming off is not even like cold turkey choice, in a matter of speaking.
Oh, that's an excellent question and a great point, which I have not made yet, is that the detox can be fatal if it's not medically supervised. So that I can't, it wasn't the case with everybody, hardly so. But it is the case with some. And I was so sick that I didn't go through withdrawals. Withdrawals would have been a step up for me. But, this is a delicate thing. So there are programs there are rehab centers that will give you the medical supervision that you need. And, for heroin addicts, they want to get you to methadone. But the transition from heroin to methadone, that's a danger point.
Yeah.
That's scary. Right in there. And so, abruptly stopping alcohol consumption when your body is trained, like your blood alcohol count might be very high, and then you abruptly stop. And, it can be fatal. This is not something we need to gloss over, but we don't need to ignore it either. It's perfectly okay to speak about it, because people sometimes just don't know that their lives can be in danger.
I wanted to bring that up because I lost my stepfather to alcohol poisoning just because he couldn't get off of it.
Yeah.
And so even that choice wasn't available to him by that point, even if he wanted to. So Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I'm sorry that you went through that with your stepfather.
Thank you for that. Ganange. I said that right. I said it right.
Yes, you did, sir.
Ganange.
Ganange. Yes.
I want to kind of relate to you on a certain story about a guy named, I'm going to call him Peter James Paul. So we call him PJ. And PJ was an alcoholic. He told me stories of, I got arrested in Nevada, I got arrested in Arizona, I got arrested in Texas. And I'm like, why are you not learning the concept of you drink and drive, you get a DUI?
Right.
And eventually it helped him to overcome this concept of the world you want to live in. It's not your world. It's the concept of the funness and the parties and all that. You're still living in that world. This guy was 56, almost 60. I'm like, come on. Where are your concepts of moralities of for your body? Because your body's a temple, but a lot of people treat it like it's an amusement park. I understand that. We want to party, want to have fun. But this guy, he just didn't want to end that. He just like, I want to have fun and be with my family and party and drink and yada yada. And I'm like, okay, let's start with level 1. Alcohol's bad. And I had to almost like recreate this dude to get the concept of you need help.
Yes.
And it was more of lines of, we're all in jail. Come on, dude. You need to get in the concept of, if you want out, you need to show improvement. If you don't show improvement, they're not going to let you out. We're in this facility together. And if you don't get the drill, they're going to drill you.
Right.
It's no fun.
No. No, the consequences is sometimes they're not severe enough to make us stop, to wake us up really to the reality around us. And there's a couple of things that you said that sparked things that I've heard, and I want to repeat is like, I didn't have a problem every time I drank, but every time I had a problem, I was drinking. Because I kept finding myself in these severe situations, and I was always drinking when they happened. And sometimes I didn't, but the only times I did, I was drinking. And the other is to accept life on life's terms. You can't make it into the world that you want. You can't control things outside of your control. This is also a hard lesson for me to learn, because I thought if I exerted my willpower enough, that I could change things. And that's true, but you have to know what you can change and what is yours to change. Not everything is yours to do. And there are some things that you have to accept. That this is just part of reality. And if I keep beating my head against the wall, it's my head that's going to lose. And there was another thought that I had that I'm sorry it's escaped me, but it was a very, very important point that you were bringing up about the people that think that, oh, this is it, that they aren't going to have fun anymore, because you party. And that's the word we use, partying. Even when I was alone on my couch, I called it partying. Come on, it's, and this is not the way to reframe it as you're alone on your couch drinking. Seems kind of sad, but you're alone on your couch partying. It's a delusion that you hold that you're having fun, when really you're making yourself ill and you're making yourself miserable, and you're living in a world of misery that you have caused. And not only just you, but everyone who cares about you is being brought down. You're weighing them down as well. You're a negative in their lives. And when you're not taking responsibility for that, you have no accountability when you're like that, because you're not thinking of the impact you have on others. Even my poor wife, when she said that to me, it was more about me getting another drink than it was about her, making her live a life worth living, helping her to live a life worth living. So yeah, and the idea that you can't have fun anymore, I can tell you from my experience that the life I live now includes higher highs than I ever had drinking and drinking. I have more joy in my life now than ever before. And it's the kind of thing I was chasing. I thought if I just had the right combination of sex, drugs, rock and roll, some kind of magic formula there, then I would feel this ecstasy. Well, I've changed the word ecstasy into the word joy, because that's how I feel. It's a joyous experience to see someone you have helped get healthy, and then seeing them helping someone else. when they're down and out, and you help them stand back on their own 2 feet, and then you see them helping others. This is how it works, and this is a beautiful thing to be a part of. And to see the effect that you can have on another, and then have them have an effect on another, that's how it can grow. And we have more people not shaming you for suffering from an addiction, but supporting you to get well, to recover. More people more sensitive. It's not a moral failing. You don't one day say, well, I'm not an alcoholic, and the next day say I'm an alcoholic. It's a gradual thing that you can't really change. You can't really notice when it happened. And this is true for many things. And there's so many things that we get addicted to. All the people that I talk to and work with, they come from all sorts of backgrounds, and they have all different types of struggles. But the similarities in all these struggles are so much more powerful than the differences.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something fundamental to us going on that we all, as human beings, can identify with, have empathy for, and provide assistance with. If we're only more cooperative rather than competitive, this is the way that we can support everyone's lives. And when you add to someone else's life, instead you're not taking away anymore. You're not a taker anymore. You're a giver, and you find out that you get more than you give when you live this way. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for that. I'm starting to feel this peace, this calmness that I get every time you speak. You begin to speak. Karen, I see your hand up. Princessa has had her hand up for a while here. Princessa, you have something you want to say?
Hey, just so you know, I'm very nervous. I've never really speak on the panel, but it's an honor to speak to you one-on-one, James. Genuinely, I've been waiting for this moment. But on a different note, my question was, how do you bounce back after addiction, after depending on people? How do you do that by yourself without trying to ask anyone for help, just figuring it out on your own, pretty much?
Well, if I understood your question correctly, and don't be nervous, I was nervous. I know what that feels like. Public speaking is one of the greatest fears that people share. And, I found that just by doing it, I got less and less nervous. And I always used to say I couldn't bring myself to speak publicly, and now you can't shut me up. That's just, so, be careful.
We don't want to set you up.
Yeah.
But to your question, that was the biggest delusion that I had, is that I could do it myself. I was certain that I could. And my experience was that I couldn't. It was too, it's too clever. How do I say this? It's cunning. It's baffling. And that just when you're at your weakest, that's where it's ready to pounce. Just when you think you've got it licked, that's when it gets you.
Yes.
This is the kind of thing where, when it waits for your weakest moment, because it's patient too. And when you're weak, it knows you're weak. I used to call these voices my shadow whisperers, because they only came out in the dark, and they would talk in my ear saying that I was misunderstood. They just don't understand, James, all the things that you've had to go through, all the things you put up with. Oh, poor James, poor James. But you shine the light on them, and they're little and ugly, and they run away. But where's that light come from? I'm not talking about flicking on the light wall. I'm talking about the light inside you. Because we were given freely this power, this light, this spark of life. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have it. We all have it. And this is what the shadow whisperers want to darken. They don't want you to shine your light. But you can. And when you do, they go away. They're scared of you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much for answering that. And I hope the best things come towards your life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Princessa. Thank you for that. Karen, you had your hand up.
Hi, James.
Hi, Karen.
I want you to know this week. I needed to replay this show because you know how addiction can be in a lot of different ways. It could be in drugs, it could be in alcohol, it could be in eating, it could be in shopping. Well, I thought of you. Your face was just there. I was at work and I was feeling overwhelmed. And when you had mentioned that, when people, you would reach out for something, you didn't have the problem, the drinking, would solve the problem or whatever. Anyway, while I was feeling overwhelmed and having heart palpitations and feeling overwhelmed and if I could have had a drink, I probably would have grabbed a drink. If I could have grabbed a drug to calm down, I probably would have did that. But what I thought of was your voice.
Oh.
And I thought of, I'm like, I need some James right now. And say, put him on the phone. I need to hear his voice because, it's that anxiety and you have that it factor. You have that, Floyd was saying in the beginning of the segment, like just that calm and I felt out of control and I didn't know how to get centered and grounded. And I'm like, what is it that he has? He has something. And I'm sure everyone on this panel feels the same in terms of when you speak. And everyone at some point needs a little James. If we could put you in a bottle and take a James, we would do that. I know I would do that. I did a prescription, like,
well, you're breaking up at the end.
Yeah, you're breaking up. We can't hear you, Karen. I don't know.
And your sincerity was, and it was beautiful, and it was a blessing to hear your words. And what I did, I think I've mentioned this before, and this may just work for me, it may not work for you, but I have found that it works for a lot of people, is that one deep breath, and it's into your diaphragm. So I call it a yogic breath because that's where I learned it. Yogas know how to breathe inward and exhale. And I just noticed my shoulders dropped. All of a sudden, the body can calm the mind, and the mind can calm the body. So, having had to deal with anxiety as often as I did, and finding a tool or a technique, which is breathing is the tool, it's the technique that I use to calm the anxiety. And I've said this before too, I thought I used to know the word calm, what it meant. But for me, it was just a less anxious state. I was just not as anxious. But now I know what calm means. Now I know that feeling of serenity. And guess what? I'm worth feeling that way, and you are too. Everyone here, if you've been given a spark of life, you've also been given the ability to be calm. It's one of those things that I didn't know how to do. And I had to be open to learning the tools and techniques. And there are many, many, many approaches. And the one that I found was through yoga. And then the breathing was the thing that made the most tremendous impact on me, as it had been an essential part of my recovery, is the ability to breathe. Because when I'm anxious, my breath is a little shorter. It's a little more rapid, and when I make it longer, I elongate the breath. And I can picture it coming in and going out. I'm paying attention to my breath. Some of them use a counting method. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And they also taught me, and I think teach in general, to hold the exhale a little bit longer. At the end, when you're ready to move on, when you feel calm, it's like hold that exhale. And there's a little moment before you need to inhale where that moment, focusing on that moment was eye-opening for me, because that moment, I'm free. I don't even have the need to breathe. I will in a nanosecond, I'll have to breathe again, but right then and there, for that moment, I'm free. And that was the title of my first book on recovery for a reason.
You should charge for this.
Why would I charge for something freely given to me?
I'm going to sleep, man. This is good stuff.
And James, I actually just purchased your book right now on Amazon. I put the
thank
link
you
in the chat. I gotta have it. At this point, I have to have it.
I want to know.
I gotta have it.
I want to know this. No blame, no shame. Tell me about that.
Okay. That is another, freedom has my story in it, including my recovery, including my spiritual awakening, what I call my spiritual awakening. And we'll get to you in a second, Veronica. But I just want to talk about no blame, no shame. What I have found in the various rooms of recovery that I have attended, and I've attended different programs and many, many different meetings, and I have run into shame so often. And if there's one thing I could change, if I had a magic wand, I would change the feeling of shame. Shame is a low vibration. You don't feel empowered. You don't feel that you have any choices. You don't, and nothing seems like you can't do it because you're not worth it. You're just ashamed of yourself. So why would I put on makeup today? Or why would I, drink some water to make me feel better? I'm ashamed of myself, and this not worthy feeling was established in me very early. So I became very competitive to overcome it. If I accomplished something, I would feel worthy. I would accomplish this, I'd feel worthy. And it lasted for a little while, and then I would have to accomplish something else to feel worthy. And, and I realized it didn't come from outside external accolades. It came from within. And I either had it or I didn't. And I couldn't get it from the outside.
I'm just making ends meet. I just don't want to fix it.
I could only do it from my outside. Yeah. There we go. Good job, Zoom host. So, this is the thing that we can all give to ourselves. And I call it a gift I give to myself every morning. Because once I have that feeling of serenity, when I get anxious during the day, agitated or angry even, and inevitably I will, I know that that day I've done it once. I've been calm. I've been serene. I've been at peace. I can do it again. And sometimes all it takes is one deep breath, and I'm right back there. Because man, do I know that feeling of, maybe it wasn't a panic attack, but maybe it was. I certainly had them. And, you want to do something to change the way you feel. You're desperate to change the way you feel. Feelings don't last. Feelings are impermanent. Feelings will come and go. You know that you're having this rapid breathing, heart palpitations. It's not going to last. So that's a calming thought just there. This too shall pass. This will go away. I don't need to fix it. I don't need to change the way I feel. Oh, but I do have a technique. A deep breathing technique. Wow. I don't feel the way I did. See, my feelings changed. Have confidence and base it on your experience that you can change the way you feel. You don't need a bottle. You don't need a joint. You don't need anything external to you. Power lies within. The light is within. The self-worth is within. It's not out there. It's in here.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much, man. I think you got everybody here feeling a whole different way, man. It is so. This is a platform seems so peaceful. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Veronica, I see you have your hand up.
Hey, Veronica.
Hey, I just wanted to inform everyone about your show. I don't know if the time's to stand, but maybe you could let everyone know about Roar so we can build your audience.
Oh, I hear you. Well, I'm in the middle of Veronica and Tony are helping me with this. I'm updating my website, so I'm not promoting it right now. I'm going to have a different URL for it. And what I have on is various podcasts that I've done over the years. I've done usually a season for me will be 12 episodes, and I have a different number one. And Veronica's talking about the one that's current. And so next Friday, I will be publishing a podcast called Roar. And what the idea behind Roar is to speak up and speak out, as Claire Holmes can tell you. I don't use a song, but I wish I could. I would consider it. Yeah. Like unattributed theft if I used it. But
We'll build you one. You can get your own. We'll make your own.
Thank you for the support, Veronica. Well, I do think that what we're doing is we're speaking up and speaking out to help preserve our democracy, because I think it's under threat. I think that what we have is an ability to speak up as citizens of the United States and to say this is not the way the country wants to go. We don't want this. It's not consistent with the values that we have and the values that the country was founded upon. We want to export democratic values. We don't want to import czarist values from Russia or any other place where there's an autocratic dictator. And this is the kind of thing that I want to speak up and speak out about, without fear, without shame. Be able to talk about this. And I've had a show with a couple of other guests that have been regulars on the show, and we talk about the various issues, the things that are in the headlines today. And so
there are a bunch of episodes on there. I went on there. I saw it. There's a lot of episodes on there. Yeah, this is not something that you just started. This has just been going on.
Well, there was a season called Change Your Mind, because we all have the ability to change our minds. We're always trying to change someone else's mind, but we never think about how do we change our own. So we did a season on that. And we had another show called Calm Down with James Eade, and you guys can understand where I'm coming from. It's like,
yes, we understand the calmness.
we're trying to help people calm down.
We might all need that one.
Calm down with James Eade. That's perfect.
Yeah, so I did a season of that, and so there are multiple seasons available on the site. And next time I'm on, I hope that I will have the site to announce and to tell you where to go to see it. Right now, it's airu.tv, AIRU.tv. But we're in the process of transferring all the shows and all the content to a website that was produced by someone who knows what they were doing. I created the airu.tv, and you can see that it's rather amateurish compared to the website that I'm going to have in a little while.
Well, so. I want to, James. I don't know. Every week I say the same thing, James. I don't know if you'll be back next week, but I might as well say tune in next week for James, because we look like we gotta have this. I don't know what my week would be like without it. I gotta learn this stuff, man. I gotta learn this calmness thing, man. When I get off of here, man, I'm telling you, when I get off this platform with you, James, I'm sure everybody else here will agree. It is peace. It is peace. A calmness that I haven't had in quite some time. And your journey and your story and your experiences have encouraged me and many people on this platform, I'm sure. I want to thank you, man. I thank you. I love you, man. You family now. You family. I mean, I see you. I see you all the time. Talk to you all the time. We family now, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see. Hey, look. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, and don't forget, James is on Roar. We go. We gonna look out for that. Get James's books. James is gonna make sure that whichever one is sold out, we're gonna replenish that one because everybody's looking for it.
Yeah.
I was trying to get it too. I couldn't get it last week. I thought I was on the wrong website. Is there other websites that they're on?
It's only Amazon that produces it. Not just have to. I'll research it. I'll figure out what's going on because it should never be out of print. They should be able to print it on demand.
Yeah, I can't wait to receive it. I mean, the art on the cover looks great.
So cool, right? I love the cover.
Well, you guys stay online here. Stay tuned. We have a awesome show coming up right behind James, right behind you, James. Miss Sharee Wells is our next guest here on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. I love this panel. I love everybody here. You guys stay on, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes. This your boy now. Yes, sir.
Step in, lean in, mic on, and begin. Hey! Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue. Turn down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard, say every single word. From the low notes to the sky, your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Got a truth tucked deep in your chest. Heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout. Watch the silence melt. Power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah, that's you. That's you. Step in, lean in, mic off. Never again. Step in, lean in, mic on, and begin. Hey! Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue. Turn down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. You got a light, buddy?
sure, kid. There you go.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got a truth tucked deep in your chest. Heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. Speak up, name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout, watch the silence melt. That power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you.
Welcome back. Let your voice be heard. Talk radio. Again, my name is Cloyd Holmes, and I am host of Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. I am excited and anxious tonight because we have another outstanding, encouraging, wonderful, super amazing guest tonight. I can't think of some more dynamic words for you, Sharee. Everybody knows you, and I'm going to show you that everybody knows who you are. Sharee is a blessing here tonight, and we're honored to have her and her story and her, let me say, her subject, her advocate. She's an advocate, and your advocacy is awesome. What you do is awesome. More even than I knew about, than I expected. When you, again, I'll say again, when I spoke to you first, Sharee, I thought, here we go again. I said that, here we go again, another one of these women talking about women's rights and all that. But no, it was much more than that. Sharee is an advocate for mid-career women. Women that, and I never even looked at it. A lot of people never looked at it, of how women are treated unequally on the job. As far which something was said during her interview, that perfect performance. If you have a perfect performance, you perform your job very well. Excellent performance does not equal promotion. That is not accomplishment. I said, how's that? And she's going to get into it and explain it to us a lot. Sharee, let me just tell you this, that you have had such a huge response from your listeners, people that have heard your story, that the questions have poured in from everywhere. And to the point where I think we're going to have a show just to answer questions, because I have so many questions. There's no way one show or this segment could answer all the questions that have come in to for you to answer. And I'm sure you're an expert on this stuff, so you have answers. I'm going to introduce you to those who don't know you. I want to call you. Are you a doctor? Can I put doctor in your name? I put professor, a doctor. Or
I'm just a regular person who's been an advocate most of my life.
I see people with doctor on their name.
I'm a fighter girl.
Okay. Fighter, Sharee Wells. It is a blessing and an honor to have you and to have her here tonight and to tell more of her story. As far as about where she came from and how she got into this. Sharee, can you, just to break the ice, can you just tell us a little bit and then go where you want to go? And we're going to get into some of these questions that were asked. But how did you get into this? And what brought you into this advocacy? When did you know you were an advocate?
Yeah, I didn't know it for many years, but I was brought up by a mom who, took us to nursing homes, and, we had a mixed neighborhood, so we were all friends with each other, and, all of that sort of thing. So, growing up, it was considered the right thing to do in our neighborhood is to speak up for other people when they couldn't speak up for themselves. So that was basically my upbringing. When I went to work after my dad died, I had to leave school to do that. So I had gone to work in a nursing home, and there were things that I didn't like what I saw with people not being able to have their rights of choice and that sort of thing. And so I was kind of whining about this to my neighbor, and she said, "Oh, we're starting a new federal program at our agency on aging. So why don't you come on down to the office and talk to them about that position? Because I think you'd be great for it." So I went to the office, and sure enough, I got the position to develop what was called the Eastern Oklahoma Development District Area Agency on Aging Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program Supervisor and Senior Advocacy Coordinator position.
That's a lot.
It didn't mean anything to anybody. Most people have never even heard of an ombudsman, but they shortened it for the business card, and it gave me the opportunity to talk about what I did with people, which was handling complaints for residents and their families when they were having problems with the nursing home. So my job turned out to be investigating those complaints and kind of mediating resolution of them before they had to go to enforcement authorities if somebody just would not cooperate. I love the work, and that particular work is where it came home to me that this is what I do, that I wasn't just an encourager. I was somebody who wanted to be a voice for people or help them find their own voice. So I did that work both in Oklahoma and as the state ombudsman for the state of Kansas. But my husband and I, he was in Tulsa and I was in Kansas, and we were doing the weekend warrior thing. We really did not like being that far apart. We had only been married for about a year. So I looked for an opportunity to move back to Tulsa, where he was living and working. He had the opportunity for a partnership for us with a career advising agency. Mm-hmm. So I talked to the area agency on aging in Tulsa, and they said, "Oh, yes, come on back." The city didn't say that, but the ombudsman program did. So I had to speak up for myself a little bit with the city to let them know that, yes, I was the person for this position. And if they could find a single other candidate for the position that knew what an ombudsman was, that I would back out and look for a different job. So she made the deal with me, and she called not long after, and she said, "Gosh, you're right. Nobody knows what it is." I said, "Okay, it's just that the city had classified the position as a volunteer coordinator. They didn't have a position classified for advocate or ombudsman." So I got that position, moved back to Tulsa, got to be with my husband, happy, happy me, and continued to work in the arena of nursing homes. One of the big things that we accomplished while there was the passage of the Oklahoma Room and Board Home Care Act, which is now the Oklahoma Residential Care Act. Those facilities were not regulated for many years. And so there were a whole lot of people that were taken advantage of, where people were taking their money and not providing the services. So we worked and got that legislation passed so that there was now regulation of these types of facilities, and there still is. I loved the fact that I could change systems as well as people, individuals, situations. And so when I got the next opportunity to work for the Long-Term Care Authority of Tulsa, I jumped at the chance. They hired me to help them create what's called a Medicaid waiver. In those days, Medicaid, which is federal funding for health care for people who are poor. But in those days, the only way a frail elder or an adult with physical disabilities could receive those monies for care was if they went into a nursing home, whether they needed to be in a nursing home or not. This was the only way they could have their health care paid for.
Wow.
So we applied to the federal government to change that situation in Oklahoma. Other states were doing it too. And we were able to create a system of home and community-based care options for frail elders and adults with physical disabilities so that they did not have to go to a nursing home. When we did this, we discovered that it cost about 2/3 of what it cost to be in a nursing home. So we saved a whole bunch of money for the state. And my job with that program was to negotiate an agreement between 7 state agencies, and we created one single tool or instrument that people would use as a set of forms for eligibility and intake and needs assessment and care planning and monitoring and all of that sort of thing. So instead of 7 state agencies, 24, I believe, different programs, and each one having different set of forms for all of that, and customers having to fill out the different forms at each agency that they went to get all the services that they needed. We had streamlined it into one set of forms that everybody used. So that was something that I loved being a part of. And I felt like that was a systemic change that, fit really well with my advocacy mentality. But then our business partner in our business, his wife was transferred out of state. And of course, he wanted to move with her. So he asked us if we wanted to buy him out, which of course we did. And they said to me, you've been working for the state and the people a long, long time. Why don't you come to work for us? So I thought about it, and I thought, well, it'd be going back to one-on-one advocacy, but it's still advocacy to help people speak up for themselves in the jobs and careers and transitions and negotiations and things that they want to do to improve their careers. So I joined the team, and for some reason, I have never been able to leave it. 30 years later, here I still am helping people with their careers. Only now I focus specifically on mid-career women and what they can do for themselves to combat the age and gender bias that still exists to this day.
Let me ask you. Now that you said that, and you now advocate for these mid-career women. In that scenario you just gave us of your life and how you got there, why did you pick that? What took you to that?
I have worked with all people, young people, old people, men, women, some transgender folk. As I got to the point in my career where I was working, but I was a caregiver for my husband who had dementia. I continued working, but as I would do research, I would learn more and more about these particular things. And when my husband died several months ago, I was doing some reading, and I came across articles that were showing the business case for women as leaders in organizations. For instance, if an organization has at least 30% women amongst its executive leadership, then the likelihood of it performing in the top 20% of companies financially is 12 times greater. So I thought, yeehaw, there's a business case. It's not just the right thing to do. Sorry, I'm from Oklahoma. So I thought, if this is still a problem, and I can't by myself fix that system, the least that I can do is work with these women who have trained their bosses repeatedly, never been paid as much as the men in the organization, who have been sort of invisible in their organization, and just waited to be promoted, and perhaps didn't have the self-advocacy and negotiation skills to get to those leadership positions. I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do now. So here I am doing it.
and how, in your mind, for you, because that's a huge ball to cover. How successful do you feel that you have been in this endeavor?
I wasn't focused on just this small area for many, many years. I felt successful. I have always felt successful when my clients are successful. So it's a team effort for me. We have to work together because I can't do it for anybody. But the message that I have is that you are your own best advocate. Nobody on this earth cares as much about your career as you do. nobody can care as much because they're not you. So for you to learn to be your own best advocate is what I do that makes me feel successful. And when a woman who formerly didn't think she was, had very much to offer, or couldn't speak up for herself, or couldn't negotiate a $5,000, much less a $50,000 raise, or the promotion that she wanted, is able to do that, I feel hugely successful as I celebrate with her what she's able to do for herself now.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm gonna do something a little different tonight because of the overwhelming response that we had from you being here last week. I'm gonna ask the panel: is there anyone who has a question right now? Because there have been a tremendous amount of questions pouring in, and we want to get to some of those as well. So I'm going to ask the panel if anybody has anything right now. I see Tony has something in the chat here. It says there a client that you've worked with that stands out in your mind that you helped. Thank you for that, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. I have several clients. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I have a lot of clients that do stand out in my mind. One that comes to mind at this moment is one of my transgender clients. He had been an accountant at the city offices for many, many years, and decided to transition to a woman. He was the first transgender client that I had. And so I said, I'm not sure. I know exactly what needs to be done, but I want to be careful in advising you because I don't know what you are facing. And he said, well, the first thing is you got to stop calling me he. I said, okay. He said, you start calling me she, and we'll be on the right path. I said, you guide me in those things, and I will guide you in your career campaign effort. It was wild because when you change gender, your name is not the same. Your identification, all of your paperwork, your documents, your whole career history on which you base your resume is not the same. How are you going to validate that? I'm going to call her Peggy. Her career history is the same as Charles. So there were a lot of those issues, but this was also in the early 90s. So it was kind of rough to be out as a transgender person in that city. However, we worked through everything slowly together. We worked to battle the fact that people didn't want her in the women's bathroom. All of the issues that came up, and we were eventually able to get a position that was one step above the position that she had had as a man. So there was an advancement there, but slowly over the years, the positions and the promotions kept coming and kept coming because Peggy took every single step to heart and learned what to do and did it with such dedication and grace and, oh my God, forgiveness, that, it still kind of makes me tear up to think about. But that was a big success story for me.
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I see Lazaro, you have your hand up.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Hi, Lazaro.
Hi, give me just 1 second before I put this question on. Give me just 1 second. I'm sorry for that.
Is there a little echo?
Yeah, there's an echo.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of background noise on my part. I do apologize. So, Sharee, I know that you've been in this battle for women's rights and advocacy for many decades at this point, right? And in recent years, there's been the Me Too movement, which you did mention on like a previous show, with like the whole like SAG-AFTRA thing, with like the actresses abused under Harvey Weinstein and all those different things. So obviously, I feel like things have changed for women in a more positive direction. However, I wanted to ask you, like, given those positive changes, what do we really see in terms of challenges for women at the workplace, whether it be in the warehouse sector, in the entertainment sector, in the financial sector, whatever it may be? Like, what do you think women still face, like, despite the movements and milestones gained with the Me Too movement? What do women still deal with in terms of challenge? Because what I can personally say is that a lot of people say things like, oh, given the Me Too movement, there's nothing for women to kind of complain about anymore. Everything's on an even playing field.
Right.
Yada yada
Because
yada.
it's all about only sexual harassment, right? No, it's there are so many women who are, I guess, considered kind of moms and nurturers in organizations. And so they are left to train everybody else, and then everybody else is promoted, and they are not, because they're really good at training people. So they're left there to train. There are positions that may or may not be considered appropriate for women with the institutionalized gender bias that is there. I think we've talked many times on this program that if a woman can't lift a heavy thing like a man can, that doesn't mean that she can't get the heavy thing lifted in some other way, because women are very creative. So those sorts of issues. But many women do feel like, and this is according to surveys, they feel that there is a bias in hiring of them at all. As women get older, the issues of whether or not they intend to stay at work, or whether they have too many responsibilities as caregivers, and those sorts of things all come into the equation, so that women are not necessarily able to move up as they would be if they were a man. Many companies have been studied, and what is missing in companies is mentorship and self-advocacy, encouragement for women in the workplace. For instance, whereas an aggressive man might be seen as a real go-getter and real aggressive, if a woman is aggressive about what she wants, very often she's called bad words that start with a B and other such, I guess, names that are inappropriate for the workplace. Women know this, they feel this, they respond to questions and surveys about it, but they don't necessarily get what they need to be able to work on advancing themselves and being their own best advocates. So I'm here to work with them on ways that help them advance themselves.
Thank you for that, Sharee. I
Thanks
have
for the question,
a couple of questions here. I have a lot of questions that we're going to get to as far as the questions that have been sent in on this subject. I want to get to those. I'm gonna allow these questions that I have here. Two questions I see here. Karen and I see Tony. Karen said, can you describe a challenging mid-career situation? Was the outcome successful, and what steps were taken to get that outcome?
Yes. One particular situation was a Native American woman. She had worked in academia for the majority of her career. She was published. She had grants. She had done her research. She had done so many amazing things. But she had gone so far and couldn't get past being a dean. They weren't letting her in past the glass ceiling, as it were. So we worked on specific campaigns for her, which included being able to speak her value. Oftentimes, academics have a tendency to just write a lot, and it's not in quick little snappy, I can hear what you're saying, and here's the measure of why that was good. So we worked on consolidating her talk to be able to talk about the things that she did well and how those were measured as far as profitability for the universities. We also worked on increasing her networking. She had a large network, but a lot of people don't know how to network well or productively. So we worked on smoothing out some wrinkles in her networking in order to have her known and have the knowledge that she was available to be known amongst that network. We worked on her interviewing skills and her negotiation skills, specifically how to ask for what she wants, and how to make that the smoothest possible conversation that she could have. One thing that people don't think of when they are negotiating is that they have to hear no a lot. And so when they hear no and they were hoping for a yes, if they just get that deer in the headlights thing where they're just like, and they don't come back with anything. They don't ever have other options in their head. So in knowing what other options were available in the world of academia, and in the particular organizations that she was approaching with her interests. And I think it took us a year and a half, but she became a provost at one of the First Nations universities in Canada. And so that's, a great story for her, but it was a little tough getting over that because she hadn't known how to present herself to people in order to get what she wanted. And that's one of the things that happens at mid-career is people stop looking for people who do X, Y, and Z. They wait for you to come and tell them. And nobody tells you when that happens. So I'm very proud of her and her accomplishment.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to take this one more question from Tony, and then I'm going to go into, I'm going to get some of these questions these people are sending in here. Go ahead, Tony.
I was going to ask, how do you think it is going to affect women in growing their profession as currently the professional degrees are being attacked, particularly in fields where women dominate, which is going to restrict financial aid for those programs and access? How do you think it will change the trajectory of women in their career development?
I think that it may become tougher, but on the other hand, as more women learn to self-advocate and negotiate with confidence, then I think that gives us a wonderful opportunity for them to accomplish something and also to do some public education, because if we keep presenting the business case, which is that women are better leaders according to all of the survey materials, and those are surveys that are done by both men and women. There is, as I said, the financial results, and there are lots more groups than we realize that are interested in careers for women, and I just don't think they're all going to take it laying down. So that's my short answer.
Thank you so much. I see, let me see, one more. I thought I saw something else. Let's see. I did Ganange. A lot of people in my First Nation Chippewa tribes, especially women, thank you for you telling your story. Thank you for that, my brother.
Oh.
Thank you so much. We have some very interesting questions that came in and are coming in, and we're going to see if we can get some of these questions answered. One of them says, "My name is Melissa. I'm calling from Atlanta. I've been with my company for over a decade, and somehow I'm always the one training people who later become my boss. How do I break that cycle?" Wow.
Oh, Melissa. You've got to start listing all your accomplishments, tracking all your accomplishments, and measuring all of your accomplishments with values in terms and language that those doing the promoting understand. So in companies, they don't care as much that you were a nice person and you were loyal and that back in my generation that was the something. But now did you make me any money? Did you save me any money? Or did you make me any money by saving me any money? It's money, money, money. That's what they want to know about. Did you reduce time on something? Did you increase the scope of something and by what percent. So if you will measure your accomplishments, first of all, then you can start a campaign for the next promotion. So you want to talk to your supervisor's supervisor, and your supervisor's supervisor. 3 levels up, you want to talk to those people on a regular basis. Use their language and tell them that you trained the people who were promoted and you want to be the next one promoted. You don't want to wait any longer for your promotion, that you believe that you are qualified and why. You ask people what you need to do to earn that promotion. You've probably already earned it, but go ahead and ask them. Give them the courtesy, take the notes, report to them regularly on your progress. One time, talk to them in person, the next time by email, another time by text, another time in a meeting, and then over again. So that you are not hitting them in the same spot all the time, but they are continually hearing the information that is flowing to them. Ask for a meeting every quarter so that you can briefly discuss your progress. You don't need more than 5-10 minutes of their time. Bring them a cup of coffee and say, do you have 10 minutes? Or send them an email and schedule. Do you have 10 minutes for me next Thursday? I'd like to update you on some of the projects. And then you just tell them where everything is so that they hear it coming from you. Don't get all head up about, oh, I don't want to brag and that sort of thing. Get over that. You need to be able to speak for yourself clearly and firmly. The more times you say it, the more clearly you will be able to say it. And if you will practice what you have to say, it will start flowing out of you like a river when you open your mouth. You won't have to be thinking about it or looking at your notes. So that's a good way to get yourself in front of the correct audience.
Thank you so much. Melissa, I hope that answered your question and helped you out. I'm going to keep going real quick here. Yeah. Denise from Chicago said, I freeze up every time salary negotiations come up. What's the best way for women to confidently ask for more money?
First, you need to know the 4 principles of win-win negotiating, which are shared goals, shared interests, making the discussion about those interests and not about the people. No accusing of people of you won't let me and that sort of thing. Generating a whole lot of options for getting what you want. For instance, if they don't have the money, you don't want that, as I said earlier, that deer in the headlight thing. You want to have other things that you want that will add up to that amount of money. Maybe you work in a downtown office. So would they offer you paid parking instead? This is going to cost them little if they are not renting the parking area. But it's an option that you can ask for. Child daycare, adult daycare, if you have responsibility for an elder or a person with physical disabilities. If you need to keep a license in good standing, what about the funding for those annual conferences that you will need to go to? always be open to something that is as or more valuable to you than a specific salary, because it is the entire package that you are looking for. And then my two laws about negotiating. One is always negotiate something. And the other one is practice, practice, practice. Practice saying what you want to say. Say it and say it and say it and say it until it just out of your mouth when anybody asks you about it. You become comfortable with asking. And once you're comfortable with asking, your confidence in making the ask is often the thing that will tip the scale in your favor.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, here's another one. Angela from Miami said, I'm rebuilding my career in my late 40s after a divorce. And honestly, I feel like I'm starting from scratch. What would you say to women trying to reinvent themselves?
Angela, spend some time on yourself. Make a list of every skill you love to do. Don't write down things you don't like to do. Every job has crap in it. No job has only things we enjoy doing. But if you will make a list of the skills that you love to do and that you think you do as well as or better than other people, those are going to be a good starting place for you. Then you're going to make another list. At least 20 accomplishments that you enjoyed completing using those skills. Go through the two lists and count how many times a skill shows up in completing an accomplishment. So what you're doing by the end of that is you're going to come up with the 6 to 8 most often used skills that you do to complete the things that you enjoy doing. This should be a happy kind of sweet spot for you. Stuff I love, doing things I'm good at. You can take those skills and you can, if you want a free thing to do, you can look up in the Occupational Outlook Handbook, the government website. You can just type it into the address bar on your browser and it will pop up. And there will be tools there, free, that you can use to insert those skills and have it filter you various careers that you might consider. So what you want to look for, of course, are the ones that are growing, that pay the kind of money that you want to make and that sort of thing. You don't want to look for the fading out careers. And then you will have ideas for the kinds of careers that you might be suited to do. Of course, are you physically able, and those sorts of things will have to be considered. And it's a good idea to do this process with someone who can help and give you some feedback. So you can hire a coach, or you can ask a family member or a mentor, someone, a professor, something like that, to give you feedback on how you do this. And once you have a list of careers that you would like to pursue, then you start talking to people in your network. What is this like? Ask people who do that thing. Tell me about this position. Tell me about this job. Tell me what are the benefits. Tell me what you love about it. Tell me what you hate about it. Get some feedback about those sorts of positions so that you can then choose maybe 2 or 3 that you want to pursue. In doing that, you've learned a lot about yourself and you've learned a lot about the positions, and you can begin to be able to justify what you're doing and why you would be a good person for doing this kind of thing. Getting feedback from other people is really great on this, not because they know you better than they know yourself, but because they are going to know other people who might have been involved in the types of careers that you are researching and can say to you, oh, you ought to talk to my Uncle Fred. He was a whatever. Or talk to my grandma years ago. She did this back before we even had, computers and things like that. Just to get a sense of what it's like. And everybody that you meet, they say we are 6 degrees of separation from everyone. Everyone that you are able to speak with is going to be able to either put you in touch with someone or somewhere that you can ask for resource information. And when you find that thing that feels like the right thing, it's like when I got to work with the Ombudsman program and they told me that I was going to be able to help folks who felt like they didn't have any strength, any rights, any voice, have those things. I felt like I was home. You can create that situation for yourself without being actually in a position.
Thank you so much. For the sake of time, Sharee, there's so much. I have like 5 pages of questions that have poured in for you, and there's no way we can get to those. I'm going to take this one question, this last question from, I saw Tony had one in the chat. We're going to, just so the panel knows, we're going to get with the powers that be, with Tony and Sharee and myself, and we're going to get together. We're going to, excuse me, we're going to try to do a special show with nothing but questions, where Sharee can get ready to just answer questions all night for the time, the duration of a show, because there's so many questions that poured in that we won't get to all of them. We can't. There's no way we can get to all of them right now. So I'm going to ask this question that Tony put in the chat before we go. I do want to welcome, we had some new listeners on here. I think Neil is on here. I'm not sure. I know Anthony was on here. They will be special guests starting next week. They'll be on the show. I saw Anthony on here, and I'm not sure if Neil's on here, but we want to welcome them to Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. We'll see them next week. You wait to hear their names. So we need you to join in to hear their stories are awesome as well as Sharee. Let's see what was in the chat. I saw a question and it said, do you think the use of AI will be used to displace women in their careers?
I think the use of AI will be used to displace a lot of people in their careers, women, men. I just think that, yes, it will. However, I think we thought microwaves were going to replace chefs and those sorts of things. We can always contribute, and as long as we stay involved, people of conscience, people who want to do the right things so that we don't just become automatons, unable to think. The actual thinking part is something that people do. The AI is regurgitating data. It's not actually thinking. So, as long as you remember to be able to think, I do believe that there will be some people who are displaced, people who think I may have said this already. I hope I'm not repeating myself too much, but people who write emails and letters and lists and those sorts of things, people who have those sorts of things, probably going to be replaced, but not tomorrow and not permanently, as long as you have training in the use of the tools and can bring your mind to it. Tony, I hear you saying something else here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. There isn't a lot of diversity there. Yeah. So again, public education is important for us to speak, for us to say what needs to be said.
Listen, Sharee, you've been with us for 3-4 weeks. You're definitely week 4. You are definitely a family member of ours, or here on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. After the second one, you become family. You're family. So we are definitely going to be encouraging you and working with you. We're going to work and try to get you back on here to answer these questions, because there's a lot of them. As we know, you guys know the panel. I love you guys. I love you, Sharee. I love all you guys, man. You guys make my day, man. I've learned so much. Just the different people, and you guys have so much knowledge, man, that I'm learning, man. I'm learning. I'm loving it.
May I say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Floyd?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah, you had mentioned being underappreciated and getting noticed for your job well done. That same stuff that I was talking about earlier, about making yourself known to other people for what you want to do and saying that you want to move up and those sorts of things, you can use that to get noticed. That those are negotiating those are negotiating tactics that will help you to get noticed in your career. And if you put your email in the thing, I will send you I have a kind of a handout, a free handout that's on the Invisible Woman Fix, how to be seen. And I am happy to send that along.
Thank you so much. You guys, we will see you. Let your voice be heard. This your boy now.
Mic on and begin. Hey! Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue, turned down.